Hello guys, Danny here at Partey. So I did not get Vega completed yesterday. I got a base coat on and it started raining, got a few raindrops on the screen, so I'm going to have to start over. Hopefully that will get done today and I'll get it uploaded. If not, then at least try to get that uploaded at the tail end maybe of our gain series. So real quick, I figured in the interim I had some questions that have come to me via email, so I figured I would take the opportunity to answer some of the more generic questions. A lot of them that we get are around product specific type questions, but these were typically more generic except for the first one, and that was, what is the actual color of Vega? Okay, so what I have here is Daystar, Vega, and Sirius. This is Vega, but this is Vega for UST, so it's a little lighter than the Vega for the long throw and short throw. Very specific in its intent. It's lighter for a reason for ultra short throw, but gives the same appearance. And that was one of the things that took us a little while to design, was to be able to lighten it, but still get the same contrast level that we're getting from the long and standard short throw. So there's not a big disparity there because we don't want folks that are getting the UST version to be put out because it's a lighter screen than the standard Vega. So this is on material. This is on fabric right now. So one of the one of the questions that's coming up, actually the next question, is, do you sell acoustically transparent screens? All right, so the answer to that is both no and yes. Okay, currently in our product lineup, we do not offer acoustically transparent screens. We have been playing around with some different fabrics to try to get the acoustically transparent screens. Lycra, I know a lot of folks use Lycra or some sort of spandex. Not really our thing, and here's why: because I can't guarantee that these people aren't going to be yanking on it when they're trying to stretch it over their frames. When you pull a piece of material a lot, okay, you need to remember that the paint stretches. It might be pliable, and this is paint or our poly coatings. No matter what you put on it, right? You could put grits on it. It doesn't matter. When you pull it, what's going to happen is it's going to separate. Okay, and when you get that separation, two things occur. Generally both, but let's just say at the very least one thing occurs. But the two things are, one, you're going to get some grit. Okay, it's like a gritty texture that you're going to get in your material then. And that's because essentially what you've done is you split the paint. It's still embedded and attached to the fibers, but the part in between breaks open, breaks apart, and it actually leaves like a gritty texture on the screen. I know a number of you guys have shared with me how that's happened whenever you've used these kind of materials. So that's one of the reasons why we don't like using Lycra or something that's got so much stretch. Whereas the second thing that can occur is that you end up, and generally it would even be worse if you have a lot of grit on the screen, is that you get micro shadows. That's the reason you see with fabrics versus PVC, it's darker. It's because you get an aggregate level of micro shadowing across the screen. Okay, the whole screen in aggregate will essentially, pull back your brightness just a couple of shades, right? So it looks a little darker. Now, some people like that because of the contrast, but we figure you want the true brightness of the screen, and you can control the contrast from your projector. Okay, so the screen itself is supposed to provide the right balance of contrast and brightness, and then you can change those from your projector, right? So introducing micro shadows into the picture is not what we're about here. That's the reason that the materials that we use have a very fine thread count, and they're very, very, they're more rigid than, say, a Lycra would be. The next thing that we were asked is, what would you recommend for the lowest lumens for home cinema? Now, guys, I'm going to get into this when we get into gain, but the short answer, and I'll just give you the short answer, for home cinema, and we'll kind of clarify this in our gain piece just so that we can clarify what Partay's focus is, because there's a lot, when you say projection, it's a very broad term. You have people with pico projectors who just use it, and we refer to those people as dabblers. It's not a bad connotation. It just means that, they're not so passionate about projection. In most cases, okay, maybe not every case, but in most cases, they're not so passionate that they need sort of the best of the best, or the best that they can afford. It's just fun for them. So, that is something that it's a market we're not really involved in. Not to say that folks haven't bought it for the purpose of using it with Picos, but that's not really Partay's focus. So to answer the question, what would you recommend as lowest lumens for home cinema? My recommendation would be no lower than 2200, and I'll explain why in our gain upload. Okay, so with that, I'm going to pause real quick and show you something. Okay, guys, so this is the Daystar screen. This is just a screensaver, so we're going to show you something that's actually going to work here. You can see it's the lighter screen. That over there is our Sirius, so I don't have the Vega. That's the one that's missing right here in the mix. But I want to show you. Now, I'm not doing this with the Xiaomi. I've actually got the screen off on it. You can see I'm using the Optima HD143X. It is currently setting in eco mode. Sorry. So you can see that. I've got the contrast bumped up to about 2 or 3 because I always like to have a little more punch to my color. But outside of that, pretty standard settings. So get this up and running. There we go. So right now we're pushing probably, I'm just going to guess, my best estimate would be around 1800, somewhere in the ballpark of about 1800 lumens, because it's setting in eco and vivid mode right now. If we were setting in cinema, it would probably be more around 1600. And you can see that's with lights on in the room. And Daystar does an excellent job of holding your contrast. Designed very specifically to go dark when light hits it in some of those areas. Okay, more so because you have to ask yourself, why does it do that? Okay, there's actually 3 reasons why that's occurring, but we had to get down to the basics of what is it that we can control so that we can make it do it a little more, and that's what led us to Daystar. Okay, so that's in your contrast pieces. Let's look at something that's a little brighter. So I think maybe I had it on this one. Okay. Get in here. Now this is 1080p resolution, so you're not going to get a lot of the fine detail that you would get out of a 4K. But that being said, the detail is still absolutely stellar whenever you're sitting back in your standard viewing angle. Very uniform picture, excellent contrast, beautiful color. So just all around great screen. I'm going to pause again. Okay guys, so now I've put the Sirius screen up. You can see that's the Daystar over there. That's my test panel that I've used from the beginning. And you can see the Sirius black and what it brings to the table. So let me move up here and get in, and you can see, you can still make out a lot of those subtle textures in here, and they stand out a little more vividly, primarily because you've got more contrast to add to it. Now it is a darker screen. It is going to add more contrast to the screen overall, to your images, but a very well balanced black screen. And will hold up to a lot more light than the Daystar will. Generally anywhere from about 100 to 150 more lux before it starts to really suffer. Okay. Hopefully this helps you guys. You guys have a great day, and we'll have Vega up soon. Really excited about the game series. So you guys take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.